Hello and welcome to this brandy taste challenge, this afternoon taste challenge. I have Delacour. Branson's coming up. Delacour Napoleon Brandy V.S.O.P. Very smooth, old pale. Bottled by Luxco Incorporated, St. Louis, Missouri. It has a label that looks similar to some other much more well-known imported brandy, but introduced in 1988. I found this bottle at Savannah Discount in Marrero, Louisiana, and it was like $13 for this liter. And I got to clean off this dust. I use that Swifter. It it works okay, but not as well as they claim on television. The only way I can really get it dusted well is once a year when I have a soft towel and wipe it really well. Good afternoon, Mr. T, says Alex. Long time no see. Well, maybe what, a day? Herbie in India says hi, sir. It's 3:40 a.m. in India. Okay. So there it is, Delacour, bottled in Missouri by Luxco. This is a liter bottle. It's extremely dark for, I don't know, I think they might add coloring, but you never know with brandy because they're allowed to add it and they don't have to report it. They don't have to tell you. Very smooth. Old pale is typically aged 4 to 6 years. So four, 4 to 6 years. I'm showing the wrong fingers. 4 to 6 years. This one is probably more like 4. Here's Branson V.S. Very smooth, old pale. The Branson Cognac Phantom. So this is a cognac. It's from Cognac, France. What is the difference between brandy and cognac? Well, actually, the answer is there is no difference. Cognac is simply a type of brandy, but is produced in the special district of France, and it, they have certain rules, whatever. But 40% alcohol also. Bottled by 16359C Cognac. Imported by Shaw Ross International Importers. But actually, and they have a website showing this, but actually it's produced by Raymond Ragnaud, which they tell you on the website. Your last name is literally the riot. Yeah, by spelling the riot. French ancestry, ethnicity. Well, they came from Canada. They were expelled from Canada, and so yeah. But a lot of the other ancestors came from Germany. But yeah, they came from Nova Scotia, Acadia, and that's a common name in Canada, Terrio. But they spell it a little different. You remember Disco Fever? That used to be a television show. It was hosted by Danny Terrio of Canada. So pour these in. It's our heritage liquor, small distillery. Okay. Yeah, there's so many different ways to spell that name. It's crazy. But I remember one time back in the 90s, when you had to call like a 1-800 number to order a travel brochure. They didn't really have internet. They did sort of have it, but they didn't have it like they do now. I called the Ontario Travel Bureau, I think it was. And the guy was like, I want to get a brochure, you know, that booklet, a travel. It's like a book, you know, a magazine, travel and all the stuff to do. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you're coming to Canada, boy. You're gonna love it here, boy. Let me tell you, boy." And I had been there before. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna send it out right there to you." And he's like, "Well, I said, here's your name. You know what's your name?" And I told him my name. I said, "Do you know how to do you know how to spell that?" "Oh, boy, that's a common name, boy. Who doesn't know how to spell that name? That's so well. We all know that name over here." So he knew how to pronounce it. So I've tried Delacour V.S.O.P. It's good. It is good. Okay, now you could see that the appearance is identical. So you say this one is bottled in Missouri and this one is from France, but they look basically the same. I think the Missouri one might be a tad lighter, but it's so close, there's basically no difference. So big difference in price, $13 for a liter at time of purchase. Can't testify now, but they sell this all over New Orleans. If you go to the French Quarter, like a lot of people come to Louisiana and go to Bourbon Street, Royal Street. Okay, there's a lot of restaurants that have this on their happy hour right now, like right now, 4 to 7 p.m. Central Time. They'll have sidecar, brandy Alexander, brandy old fashioned. And why do they always use Delacour? Probably because the parent company Luxco went out to all those restaurants and made a deal with them. You know, like, hey, if you always sell our brandy, you'll get the best price on brandy in the country. And they probably said okay, and they tasted it. I'm sure they tasted it. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Because I mean, I'm talking about Galatoirs, Broussards. What was it? Hermes, Bard, Antoine's, Quarter Two Sisters. They all had it listed as their happy hour brandy. So you say, oh, it's just a bar brandy. Yeah, that's why it's in a liter bottle and it's $13. But it is a VSOP. It's not just a VS. And they do have a website listing. I'll show you right now. Now, I am starting to see Branson showing up around here. I've seen it twice in the last week. Town. Delacour from the heart. Delacour brandy is a delicious brandy crafted delicately to create the perfect liqueur. It's crafted to create a liqueur. Okay. I don't know what they're talking about, but that's what they say. So let's look at the product specifications. What bottle sizes does it actually come in? One liter and handle. Okay, I figured that. 1 liter bar bottle, handle that's for buying at a discount store and to drink a lot for a little, but it's in a plastic bottle, PET, polyethylene tri. All right, so anyway, okay, cool. No regular bottles, just liters. So yeah, bar bottle. Branson V.S. Phantom, blended by fifth generation family run producer Raymond Ragnaud, who has been in Grand Champagne since 1860. Branson Phantom, finest example of cognac for anyone to enjoy. Well, that's a bold statement. It runs about $40 a bottle. But I got it for $11.99. And they're claiming on their website it's the finest example of brandy for a person to enjoy. Now that's something right there, boy. The finest example of a cognac brandy for someone to enjoy. Well, looks like I'm enjoying it. Ricardo says, if one day you see the Azteca de Oro brandy, about $10 here in Mexico, don't hesitate to buy it. Most people prefer it over Torres. I think I have seen Azteca de Oro actually. Aztec Gold. Ricardo says, cheers, Jay Saludos de Monterrey, Mexico. I've never been to Monterrey, and I have seen the Bohemia Noche Buena, but I stupidly did not buy it when I saw it at Walmart in Gonzales, Louisiana. And I thought, I'll just buy it when I get back home. If Walmart here has it, I'm sure Walmart in my town will have it. And I came back here, now never saw it. What is the proof? Oh, both 80 proof, 80 proof, 80 proof. So regular price, maybe this one is $20, but I bought it for $13, like I told you. $40, I got it for $11.99. Not kidding. Not kidding. Age statement: 2 to 3 years from the website. That's the website. An average of 2 to 3 years. It can vary, it's basically about 2.5 years. Very young. Delacour, no age statement, but it is a V.S.O.P, which means usually 4 to 6 years. But that's not a law. So maybe they just put V.S.O.P on there because it looks fancy. It's fancy. It's fancy, and you're just a punk. Okay, anyway, if this camera will focus, I'd be happier. All right. Predictions. Well, I've had a hard time with these taste challenges with the Branson, so I can't make predictions. It has done well. Listen to that. It has done well, but with a lot of the other French brandies, it didn't really differentiate itself. It's kind of like, but that's no knock against the product, because these brandies are like that. They're kind of like each other. You could say, oh, I tried this, I tried that, I love this, I love that, I hate this, I hate that, this, that, and the other. Okay, all right, okay, all right. But when you get down to it and you start tasting them and smelling them blind, it's like, they're really not that different one from another. So why am I paying extra money for it? That's a good question. Is brandy popular in the United States? Not exactly. It has a following. I mean, there are segments of the population who drink it, but overall, it's probably kind of not that great in popularity. Maybe. Now, 50 years ago, okay. Well, this is not 50 years ago. What's the big lead? What's the leader today? Well, the leader today is bourbon and vodka. People run behind bourbon and vodka all day. Although, interestingly, Canadian what they call it? Crown Royal. Couldn't think of the name. Crown Royal is the best-selling whiskey in America. But Canadian whiskey in general is not, but that particular brand. But not to downplay it, because Canadian whiskey is definitely very popular. I guarantee you Walmart is not going to have that huge section of Canadian whiskey if it ain't moving. Because believe me, Walmart, when something doesn't move, it gets bounced very quickly. Now, I can go to Walmart tomorrow and they're going to have that whole Canadian whiskey section ready to roll. And they start at 6 a.m. And they'll sell it at 6 a.m. Gladzilla says, yeah, cheers, hang loose. Cheers to you. Yeah, it smells like grapes. Grape leaves. Distilled to 40. Well, they actually distill it to a lot higher proof when they barrel age it, but they add water and bring it down to 40 proof. And what kind of water? Just regular old tap water. I found that out when I went to the Barton 1792 distillery. And the tour guide, her uncle worked there. Okay. Actually, most every girl tour guide I've ever had at a brewery or a distillery, I always ask them that question. I say, do you have a relative who works here? And they're like, yeah, my daddy. My dad has worked here for 30 years. Usually it's the same story. I was like, uh-huh. I don't say anything. I just like, I'm thinking to myself, I figured. But she said, you know how to get it down to 40 proof? And actually, I didn't know. She said, they just add tap water. She said, they just have like a faucet and they add water. And then when it gets to, they have a gauge. When it gets down to 40 proof, I'm sorry, 80 proof, 40%, they stop. I said, that's pretty practical. She said, yeah, it's not like a complicated method. Gladzilla says, I come in peace. Cheers, Ron. Is Victoria Day here in Canada? Oh, it is Victoria Day in Canada. I saw that on my calendar this morning. It's a national holiday in Canada, Victoria Day. The Queen, who signed the Dominion of Canada, the British North America Act, actually, the British North America Act in 1867, which created the country of Canada. So, that's a national holiday. Joe Cobb says, drinking Dubonnet French sweet quinine wine mixed with gin. It was Queen Elizabeth's favorite cocktail. I would like to send you a 12-pack of Noche Buena beer. It starts to be distributed in convenience stores in October, but I don't know if it's possible from Monterrey, Mexico to Louisiana. Well, see, I would strongly discourage that because I've already told you I have seen it in Louisiana before. Now think about this: you pay a lot of money to send it to me from Monterrey, Mexico, and I have been down there. I went to Saltillo, but I know that's a different state. But I think we drove through Nuevo Leon. But and then what you're gonna do if you send it to me and spend all this money, and a week later I see it in my local store? So I would be reticent to send that if I were you. I would just say, well, it'd be a nice Bach to try, and I probably will see it one day. Joe Cobb says, yeah, we have a complicated history, but I'm proud of it. Well, we have a complicated history in the United States too, also, as you know. We even had a war between different states. That's pretty complicated. Where you got 11 states trying to break away and make their own country, right? That was an event. Noche Buena is delicious. I believe it. I know it would be. Right now, says Alex, I'm eating some ribs with some Sauvignon Blanc. Haven't opened this bottle in years. Irish Boy says, hi, would you be a fan of apple cider? Not really. Oh, thank you. Because I'm not too much for cider. I'm not too much for any kind of juice unless it's distilled into brandy. Okay. So aromas. So cheers to Canada, the Dominion of Canada, the Commonwealth of Nations, Victoria Day. The United States is detached from that, like scissors cutting through thread because of the revolution in 1775. What can I say? The United States seceded from the Commonwealth, but President Trump said he wants to rejoin it. That set off a firestorm, but it is what he said. He said he loves King Charles and he would like to become an associate. He wants the United States to rejoin the Commonwealth. Well, India is the fourth largest economy, really, in Asia. I love Guinness. Guinness in Ireland is meant to be better than the U.S. one I heard on YouTube. Well, I wouldn't necessarily believe that. We get the Irish Guinness. The Guinness we get here is made in Ireland. It's not a contract brewed. We used to get a contract brewed one from Canada, which was really good, by the way, and higher alcohol. All right, so these are both smelling like grapes, grape leaves, raisins, golden raisins. So appearance, a tie. Aroma, a tie. Price, not a tie. $40, $40, $14. 750 milliliters, 1,000 milliliters. So we can see that right now Delacour is leading the race. They're running ahead. Running ahead. All right. United States, China, Germany, and India. Well, I hope that's true. I'm not against India. You sometimes think I'm against India. I'm not against India. All right. Oak, grape leaves, golden raisins. That's what it tastes like. So think of like you took raisins, golden raisins, you smashed them down, had like a little, what do you call those, like puree knives, and you ate it. You say, oh yeah. Even the seeds taste like the seeds are in it. Also Russia, yeah. And I'm not anti-Russia. I'm not anti any country really. Why do you think my alternative channel is called anti-war? Okay, very similar over here. So we jump it from same taste to same taste. Golden raisins, the grape leaves, the grape seeds, the medium body, the mostly dry finish. Uh, well, obviously at this point, I would have to give the win to Delacour because I'm not tasting much difference. And you could say, oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're doing. What's wrong with you, man? That's a cognac, and that's some American brandy. And everyone knows cognac is way better, and so forth and so on. Well, you saying that, and I'm tasting that. You saying it, I'm tasting it. I'm thinking they about the same. My friend got his cash from his wallet stolen in the bar last night. That's why I don't go to bars much. Oh yeah, I don't go to bars. I mean, I go to them, but regularly, no way. You got too many troublemakers show up at bars. I notice when I go to these places, there's always somebody with some kind of like attitude problem, and I'm like, I don't know who this person is, and I do not feel like dealing with this. So I stay away from those places. Oh, look, a hawk. A big hawk has just landed next door. What is he doing? He's walking around the yard. He's looking around, and now he's flying onto this bush. He usually is high up. He makes a lot of noise in the morning, him and his compatriots. But I never seen him go into this yard. He looked like a big turkey, a big chicken. So huge. I wish I could show that to y'all. But by the time I grabbed the camera and moved it, he'd fly off. But oh, he's really on to something. Yes, we have had bald eagles flying around here. I hadn't seen them in a while. Bald eagles, but we got a lot of hawks. You know, they're only half the size. Those bald eagles are huge. Now I see a lot of bald eagles in the swamp on the way to New Orleans. There's a whole family of them. Oh, there he goes. Where is he going? I think he sees something like a snake or something. We have king snakes, but don't kill the king snake. They kill the poisonous snakes. But boy, that hawk. All right. Bars are too expensive, I agree, and overrated. Well, yeah, full of smoke. Around here, they still smoke in the bar rooms. Smoking, smell like a cigarette when you leave. Burley Sullivan says, "You, hey Burley." Cheers back to you. Burley with his famous "you." And cheers to Joe Besser, one of the Three Stooges, who always would say, "You big you." I always liked Joe Besser. He just had a different approach. You know, he wasn't the same as the other ones, but unfortunately, he only stayed for 2 years because his wife got very ill, and he said, I have to quit. They said, really? But what could they do? But he made some good films with them. USA is the best country in the world, but I'm still worried about what they are up to, says Alex. We all worry about that, Alex. Okay, well, people with good sense worry about it. I think these are so similar. I really ought to call it a tie. I should just say it's a tie. I don't know, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to keep it real. Remember when people used to say that years ago? What's going on? Keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. I'm handling minds. Okay. You a gangster. All right, but I don't really know. Let me take another sip. It's a lot of wood. It has a lot of grape leaves and the skin. Well, the grape skins and the seeds and the oak. Man, I think it must be the Delacour. And of course, it's the Branson. So that puts me at 5 down. I lost 5 challenges. I'm not shocked because when I started this series, I was concerned like, man, I could go out here and get half of them wrong. And it's turning out that way. Well, you know what the problem is? These brandy companies need to make stuff that tastes different one from the other. Why do they all taste the same? Do you get this kind of experience with bourbon? No. The bourbons will be different. They might be just as good though. You might have a $50 one that would be no better than a $20, but they'd be different. Like you don't really confuse them. But the brandy and the rum, and some of these rums can be a headache and a half because you just be getting them confused. But it seemed like every time I do cognac and cognac brandy, I just get so twisted around. I can't figure them out. They all taste the same. Which to me, this is me speaking, I think it's a strong argument that you should not pay a whole lot extra if you should pay extra at all for these products. Now, you should be wary. You should be wary because they'll try to slip in some real questionable stuff. Like I was at Total Wine and More, which I go to pretty frequently, and they had all these brandies, cognacs and brandies. It's many shelves. And I'm looking at all the prices, which go from exorbitant thousands of dollars to, $9. But I'm looking around, and they had this one called Petra or something like that. And I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, that's pretty cheap. And I'm looking at it. I'm just staring at the bottle. I'm like, brandy. This is what it says. Like I'm telling you, this is what it said. Brandy with grain neutral spirits. Bottle in California. I'm like, this is not even a real brandy because it's cut with grain neutral spirits. It's grain. I said, why would I ever buy that? And the answer came to me immediately. I never would buy that. Because they have to put that they definitely have to put that on the label. Now, if they add in coloring or flavoring, they don't have to list that. They're allowed to not list it. But to be cut with grain neutral spirits, I thought, oh, what alcoholic would buy this? And I didn't care what the price was. I said, I'm not buying it. I said, this is going to be nasty and gross. And I'm judging it by, the cover. He said, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a liquor by its packaging. Okay, you got me there. But I didn't buy it. I was like, nah, there's enough regular, pure, great brandies out there for me to not play around with this silly stuff. Okay, last comments. Any beer that is 5% or less is like water to me. Well, they do tend to be very watery at that point. Sounds very good, Irish Boy. It needs to be 6% or more. Yeah, Alex, I'm going to research how to do it. Irish Boy says, I used to like vodka, but kind of gone off too strong, get drunk too quick. Once you get drunk slowly. Well, I don't think you should be trying to get drunk at all. This is me. Bad habits lead to bad trouble. Indian Ocean, only ocean named by a country. Now, here's a guy that's really promoting his country. He is from India, and he is always out there pushing India, India, India. Well, sorry I got it wrong, but honestly, these two products taste so similar. It is amazing. Golden raisin, mild oak, a little bit of grape skin, even the seeds. They're just so similar. So the clear and present winner is Delacour. If I had a chance to repurchase these, which one would I buy? I would very quickly buy Delacour. And look, the French Quarter, all those fancy restaurants I was talking about, they are not going to serve junk. You say, but it's happy hour, 4 to 7, discounted. I know that. I get that. But they're not going to serve trash in those restaurants. I'm telling you right now, because they have a very good reputation for exquisite food and like really top level cuisine. So I mean, they'll do a little cheaper for happy hour, but there's got to be a reason in doing Delacour, and I think the reason is it's much higher flavor. The flavor is much better than you would ever imagine for such a low price. Well, now it's time to watch Major League Baseball. The game started 3 minutes ago, and oh, I hate to be missing it. All right, well, y'all take care, and I'm gonna try to come back tomorrow morning very early when the sun is rising to do my last brandy taste challenge of the year. I can't see getting back to it later this year. I don't think the time frame will allow it. I could be wrong, but I've got a recent product, only inches ago, and I think that's all of them. I might have overlooked one, but I don't believe so. So and I can't even imagine getting that one wrong. Still in all, it'll be be kind of a somber ending because I did get so many wrong 5 times. I can't say it's inexcusable because it's just very difficult. Yeah, with brandy. I'm talking about brandy. I'm talking about other liquors. All right. Anyway, well, thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.